Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth Invitation Season 2, where in this season, I am committed to bringing on powerful females from all around the world to share their story of challenges and growth as an invitation and inspiration for you all so that you know wherever you are, whatever you've experienced, no matter what your starting point is, you can always choose to grow and manifest your dream future. So today I have the honor of having Kelly Etter with me as my guest. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Janette. Thanks so much for having me as your guest. I'm excited.
So excited to having you with us today. So a little bit of background for everyone. Kelly and I were on the same course and same cohort with Lisa Nichols certification training program, and I had the honor of actually doing some breakout rooms with Kelly, and also we did the graduation dance together um, last year, and it was so exciting. So I know Kelly has a lot to share. She has, let's say, she's gone through a few things in her life, a few challenges. And so that's why I really was so excited to ask her to come on to be my guest and really to share with us, how no matter what happens, she is being challenged, but resilience is still going to be there. So, Kelly, give us a quick intro about yourself.
Sure. I have been a certified Pilates trainer for 25 years, and I have a 22-year-old son. He's got 1 year left before he graduates from Northern Arizona University in construction project management. I got remarried just over 2 years ago, and my husband retired just shortly before the fires that came through Southern California. So that turned out to be quite a blessing. So he could be around to really be support, help be a support for me because my home and Pilates studio burned down in those fires, and it was just incredibly surreal. Um, so we are now in what's called long-term temporary housing because it will be projected to be anywhere from 2 to 5 years before our home is rebuilt. We're on the earlier end, hopefully. Everything crossed. Lots of prayers. So yeah, that was that was really wild. It We were evacuated, and a friend had somebody driving around the area to see if her home was still standing or not. And so she texted me saying she thought she was near my address. And what was it again? And a little while later, I got a texted picture and I froze. It was all gone. Everything, like, and at first I thought I had to grab the counter to keep from collapsing. My knees kind of gave way and my heart started racing. And I think my body understood before my mind did, but then I could tell it was our home because there was a tree in front that looked like a guy flexing his muscles, right? And there was that tree. Somehow it was still standing, but everything else around it had crumpled. So it's it's a time of being able to make use of tools I learned from a past challenging time.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I still remember when you told us that was happening when we were having in class actually with Lisa. And even there was a post that I don't think it's something that I can unsee. It's like there was a photo that you posted, and I think it was like, was it a tea cup or a teapot?
Uh,
And it's
yeah, that
like,
was
how did like the entire thing, your entire house is gone. Your Pilates studio is gone. Everything's gone. But that was still there in one piece standing.
Right, isn't it? And that's what was so wild to me too when we went to go through. We just sift. They gave us sifters to look for, anything valuable, and we had to be in hazmat type suits because the air was toxic. And yeah, that's what was one of the things that was so wild to me was here's this huge, not huge structure, it was a small home, but still, this structure that held our furniture, had sturdy furniture in my Pilates studio. The equipment is sturdy, heavy to move, and it was just this pile of smoldering ash. 14 years. It's been 14 years there, growing, healing, building something to help others heal. And yeah, it was all gone. But you're right. The China, I did post that. Yeah, the China survived. And it's like, wow, like something that we would think is that delicate still somehow had strength. To me, it just seemed like, okay, there's a way to use this as some sort of inspiration that even though we feel like our life was set ablaze, why, and we feel really delicate or breakable, why somewhere deep inside there's something that gives us our strength, and we have to go in and find that inner strength. And if you're a believer as I am, why also look to God for that strength and support.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're handling China, we're like, oh, careful, careful, careful. Right. And it's like it's so fragile, but actually it's standing so strong. And it's such a massive visual metaphor for us all to say, like, people might feel delicate, you might look delicate, but you don't have to be delicate and you don't have to be fragile if you choose to not be. And I want to kind of like take you a little bit back in your life journey, kind of talking more about um how earlier on, and the story that you shared with me about the little girl being in leg braces, and
Sure, yeah,
how
I'd
you
love to
almost
share that.
lost your life. And it's just kind of like, this is not the first time you've been through this. And you mentioned tools, so we'll talk a lot about the tools in a bit, but I'd love for you to share that story.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And if you don't mind, I want to circle back quickly before that because something you were saying about the China, we don't have to be delicate, or we may look delicate, but we don't have to give in to like the breaking point. We can choose to be, dig in to our strength. And the thing that came to my mind too was, wait a minute, the china and the pottery are the things that survived. They've been through fire before, right? Don't they have to be heated to a certain temperature? And
Mm.
so, like, if you've gone through the fire and come out the other side, then you can withstand the next fire or the next whatever comes
Oh
your
my
way,
God, that is so beautiful.
right?
I love that. Yes, when you've gone through it, you already know you've got the strength.
Right. And that's like from CTTP, right? Similar. The bird on the branch is depending on its wings, not on the branch. Trust the
Yes.
traveler, not the terrain. That whole theme.
Yes, yes. Just to a
Uh,
quick pause of an explanation to
sorry.
everyone who's watching. So, our coach Sean Smith, hi Sean, uh, was kind of talking to us and using a metaphor of a bird, like the bird is not going to decide, okay, is this branch going to hold me or not? Potentially, do I need to assess it before it lands on the branch? Because no matter which branch it lands on, is actually it knows it can rely on its wings to fly away and still be safe. And that's the metaphor that Kelly's referring to, and it's super powerful because when we're not reliant on anything that's outside of us, but we trust the strength that we have inside of us, that's when the true power is. Anyway, coming back to you,
Yes.
Kelly.
Ah, so yeah, okay. So you kind of gave the little bit of the intro. So yeah, if your audience can imagine, picture little 4-year-old Kelly pigeon-toed, so that's legs turned in, just desperately wanting to be like everybody else. So her mom took her to dance classes because the doctor suggested that would help turn out and strengthen her legs. So, okay, so go to class and teacher goes, "Oh, no, no, no. She won't be able to dance." So, okay, go to another one. And the teacher looks over, sees the leg braces. "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. It's just not going to be a good fit." Studio after studio. The teachers took one look at me, saw the leg braces, so judged me and rejected me. Nobody wanted to let me in. I'm sure your listeners can relate to like being a little 4-year-old and rejected, not wanted by the adults. It was, yeah. So that's where resilience journey started, right? My patience and practicing and persistence wound up paying off. And I kind of got my little digs in. I showed them. I got to be leg braces Kelly, tripping over her toes, got to be a Rockette in the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. I had a 20-year professional dance career. Sometimes I think I should send that doctor a thank you for telling my mom to put me in ballet classes or my parents to put me in ballet classes. So dance classes really helped me transform from a dejected little girl who tripped over her toes into a very joyful young lady. When I was dancing, I felt a sense of freedom and it helped me process my emotions and express myself, and that really fueled my passion. Also, I felt more confident and more attractive when I was dancing, and that helped to empower me to work through the many rejections along the way, the many injuries along the way. And so then later, when I retired from dance to start a family, I needed to look for something else and I found a new passion. I became a certified Pilates trainer. And I've had the honor of helping hundreds of people over the last 25 years break free from pain. Physical pain, yes, but then also the emotional pain of not being able to trust their body to support them in everything they want to do. Things as straightforward as like getting down on the floor to play with kids and fur babies and get back up, be able to know that they can get back up with ease and strength. So, um, yeah, so when people look at me, they see a devoted mom and a successful entrepreneur with an infectious joie de vivre and a broad, easy smile.
Oh my God,
What?
I love that. And, you know, first of all, I can't believe that people said that to you when you were 4 years old. Like, that's a very early start to your resilience journey, Kelly. A very early start. I resonate with what you're saying. I've also been there, but I didn't have the leg braces, but I looked different.
Mm,
I looked completely different to anything they've ever seen before when I first
mm,
moved to the UK. And I
sure.
was also like, oh, uh, can you speak English? And I'm
Oh my
like,
goodness.
yeah. I think at the beginning I couldn't so well because the educational system in Hong Kong is different to here. So by the
Okay.
time I moved here when I was 9 years old, was more of a hello, how are you stage. But children, we learn really, really fast, especially when it is complete immersion. You've got to do it every
Hmm.
day because you've got to go to school. So I learned very quickly. But I still had a lot of people trying to slow down, speak louder, and it's like, I'm not there, hello, hi.
Yeah.
And it was just
Yeah.
so I really get where you're coming from. And you know um part of me feels like, oh, I'm so sorry that you went through that, but also part of me is like, congratulations, you got out of it. Like
Yeah.
that point about actually training yourself up. So let's kind of talk a little bit more about resilience, building that lasting resilience, because it couldn't have been easy. Like when you were being told, sorry, no. sorry, you don't fit in, sorry, not here.
Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah.
think I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, 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 please.
Okay, so I think something that came to my mind when you were speaking about your very similar challenge, right? When we're kids, I think maybe it's a little easier because we it just what flashed in my mind was my mom telling me she was so surprised that I never fought it when we had to put the leg braces on. I carried them in and sat down on the floor and she hooked me into them and so I think kids just accept what is as what is and work with it. I think it becomes more challenging the older we get because we have this sense of how it should be, or we have expectations. And then if the expectations aren't met, why then it it can really throw us for a loop. Um, and yeah, I think that's part of what made the ending of my marriage to my son's dad so difficult. And that happened, and that's what actually put me in this home that wound up burning down was I just I went through a very dark time when he suggested that we separate. And I that easy smile was gone. My face just felt too heavy to smile. And there was a time when I was curled up in a little ball on the floor, unable to imagine how I was going to pull myself out of the pit I'd fallen into. And I was in a constant state of fight or flight. It felt as if there was a tiger at my back, always chasing me. And I'd lay down at night with my little boy to help him fall asleep, and I'd pray, God, please just don't let him feel me shaking. I'm supposed to be what helps him feel strong. And one night was different. I was on the phone with my mom and just to relax and kind of shed the stress of the day. And while we were talking, I took my sleeping pill and I ran the bath water and we were still talking. So I went ahead and got in the tub and the next thing I remember, she was with me telling me that she had raced over. And she said I had stopped talking, that she was going, Kelly, Kelly, honey, are you there? Kelly. And she heard a voice say, one more inch, and she goes under. So she raced over and pulled me unconscious out of the tub. So when it hit me that my little boy had almost been left with the legacy of first having his family torn apart and then finding his mom drowned in the bathtub, I that that really hit me. I realized that something had to change. And then it also dawned on me that God had sent my mom to save me for a reason. So I could no longer allow my circumstances to define me. And so the things I did to help pull me out of that pit were I surrounded myself with encouraging, supportive people first. Second, I leaned into becoming the best mom and Pilates trainer I could possibly be. And third, I got back into dancing, something I'd set aside for far too long. And that decision and those actions completely transformed my life. That's why I'm really passionate about helping others transform their lives. And so I would encourage your audience to ask themselves to consider what circumstances they might be allowing to define them right now. What
Mm.
growth invitation, right? This is perfect. Are they going to accept? What actions are they going to take to transform their lives to get from wherever it is they are now to where they want to be? Because that's really what transformed my life. Returning to dance, working with my Pilates students, they were an essential part of my healing process. Movement literally has been my lifeline. It was crucial in my recovery from. I was struggling with depression, anxiety, insomnia, and panic attacks. And it wasn't just about the physical benefits, it was also about reclaiming joy, rebuilding confidence, about like getting in touch who we really are. Um, yeah. So again, I would say, what if today you, anyone listening, watching, gave yourself permission to move, to accept the growth invitation, to take a step out of whatever fear, anxiety, worry they have now and into the life they deeply desire and absolutely deserve? Because
Oh, I
movement can be their
love that.
lifeline too.
I love that, Kelly. Thank you so much. And you literally like just weaved everything in, not only my brand, so thank you, but also
You're
like just
welcome.
how
I
you
love your brand.
weave. Thank you. And I love how you actually weave that movement, because it just dawned on me, like when you were talking, you said, what is the one step? But then literally imagine like a ballerina, like
Mhm,
the taking the one step into her twirl. Um, but not everyone's a ballerina. You don't have to be a
mhm,
ballerina. You don't have to be a dancer. But movement, Kelly has chosen Pilates and dance. But movement doesn't have to be that, right? Movement can
right.
also be a not a literal movement, but it could be like a one mental step towards something, right?
Exactly.
And and
Movement,
and and
physical
that's
or
the
emotional
power of
or
it.
mental.
Yes, it's actually
Yes.
just to be in motion.
Mhm,
But I know that there are a lot of studies, right? And I don't know if you have any stats, but I know there's a lot of studies that says movement, any sort of movement, actually helps promote the happy hormones and the benefit. There's so much benefit to the body. Is
mhm.
that true?
Yes, absolutely true. Absolutely true. And things, right, I would encourage people to find what brings them joy or what is something they can be doing that allows them to kind of lose track of whatever their challenge is. So, yes, for me, it's dancing. But for some people, it could be hiking. For some people, it could be meditation, because it's also, yes, a mindset movement. It doesn't have to be a physical movement. It can also be an emotional shift. But, and like you said, there are studies that have shown that moving, getting out in nature and moving help to increase the happy hormones, as you said. And our nervous system, the nature can really help us regulate our nervous system. I've learned a lot during the COVID lockdown. I learned a lot about the vagus nerve, which acts as kind of the like the brakes in our car. It acts as brakes to that fight or flight that I call it getting revved up. And there's some really straightforward tools with either breath or just a little bit of self massage that can quickly down regulate, slow down the nervous system.
And why is it important? I mean, just for the benefit of our audience, like why is it important to actually regulate your nervous system, and how often should we be doing it?
I don't like should. I had a counselor tell me, don't should on yourself, but
Oh,
I would
true.
encourage. um, it's very important because it helps us with our resilience, because quite often we can't think our way out of being stressed. During the first few weeks after the fires, I was waking up with panic attacks, and I was actually getting on and doing Facebook Lives and leading people through a brief nervous system nurturing practice. Um, so yeah, so often we need to go to our body first because it's our nervous system that hits the ground running when its job is to keep us safe. So if it thinks we're not safe, it revs us up to run away from that tiger, when actually we could be perfectly safe. And just telling ourselves, you're safe, you're okay, sometimes that can help. But sometimes we actually need to get to that through the body. So that's why I think the nervous system work is so essential. It also helps us, it won't necessarily make it so that you never feel those revved up feelings. Like I got nervous before coming on here with you because I want to do my best, be supportive of you, be supportive of our viewers, etc. But it helps recovering from that spike in energy more quickly too if one has a regular nervous system practice. So I have about an 8-minute routine I do every morning to just kind of help keep me, that's a resilience tool I have to help keep me more grounded and more able to recover from a stressful situation.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing that, because actually, from my coaching as well, I talk to people a lot about like safety, emotional
Hmm.
safety. It's not just about, oh, have I got a roof over my head? Have I got like food on the table? That's kind of like
Right.
the outside world, and we need to feed our bodies, obviously, because otherwise we can't function. But there's a huge thing which is about emotional safety as well, because if we don't feel safe emotionally, like if we feel rejected in any situation, it makes us feel, oh no, I don't belong here, I don't feel safe. Then it's harder for me to want to go back in again. It's harder for me to go again, because oh no, if I it's like if we ever want to get anyone to we can't make people transition, obviously, but if anyone ever decides that they want to transition, it's actually about helping them understand that it is safe to move, rather than allowing the bodies to go, but because you're going to literally force them to fight themselves. So having that nervous system reset really helps with transformation as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, because our nervous system is the basis for movement learning, but also the basis for behavior change. So, like you said, even if somebody really, really wants to, like I've put it into each of my Pilates programs too, the nervous system work, because people are wanting to create new, healthier habits. They, for example, have never exercised and now they're looking at their adult children are about to have kids and they want to be able to play with grandkids and they're afraid they won't be able to. And so they truly want to start a regular movement practice. It doesn't have to be a Pilates practice. There's just something, even just walking, and they don't understand why they don't start. It's their
Mm.
nervous system. Nervous system pulls us back to what's familiar, what feels safe. So yes, working on our nervous system to support it, to help it recognize the difference between when we truly aren't safe and when our body's responding as if we aren't safe because it's new, we don't recognize it, but in actuality, we're safe, will help
Mm.
us, like you said, help the transformation that you're coaching your clients through, that I coach my clients through.
Yes, absolutely. And, I also want to go back onto those 3 points that you mentioned about, when you're trying to break free from mental blocks and build resilience, which is what we're talking about.
Hmm.
The first one you said was actually find your tribe, find the supportive community.
Exactly.
And the second one was, what was the second one? I've forgotten, sorry. Um,
Um, I leaned into becoming the best mom and Pilates
yes,
trainer. So something that
yes,
is
being the
important to
best
you,
at something.
something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the third one is all about actually choosing something that you love. So we've kind of touched upon the third one already, choosing something that we
Mhm.
love. And why not? Like, why would you not to do what choose to not do something that you love? Why?
I think especially women, we tend to think that we have to take care of everyone else first. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, sometimes we can do that to a fault. If we haven't taken care of ourselves, eventually there can be a breakdown, right? And the airlines, I've said this before, if anybody's heard me talk before, they're like, yeah, we've heard that. But it's true, right? The airlines have it right. Put on your own oxygen mask before helping the person beside you, because if you know, if you haven't taken care of yourself, you're not going to be able to ultimately take care of, help, support anybody else. So yes, we have to do something that's going to fill us up so that then we can be there for those we care about helping.
Yes, and also actually, when you were sharing your story, it was like really clear as well that because you you were going through a very dark time, from the divorce. You almost for you all you cared about was, how can I protect my son? How can I be there for my son? That you
Yeah.
forgot about you. And luckily, your mom was there. But if she hadn't been there, your and you didn't fill your own cup up, your son wouldn't be in the situation that he is right now, which, having the best mom ever, being able to, graduate with 1 year left, which is really exciting times, and this massive smiley mom again. Right.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think that is so important to, we all should be doing things that we love, in whatever scale, even if it's 5 minutes, do like once a week, do something that we love. And also to, and to mention, be the best at something, choose something, be the best. Like, I want to dissect that a little bit, in terms of, what does that actually mean? How did you choose? How did you choose? Okay, I'm going to now be the best mom, and now going to be the best Pilates teacher. How did you get to that point, when you decided that it's those two?
Those were the two things that were most important to me. My son being a good mom, being the best mom I could be, and the clients that I encouraged and supported. Like if it's hard to do something for me, at least then I'm doing something for them. And in that process, started feeling better about me too, because here I'd been rejected. I'd been pursued by my former spouse for 7 years or more before we were married, and then we were married 17 years. So it was, it was like it really was a shock to the nervous system. Um, and I want to take us back to the first thing too, find your tribe. Like you said, surrounding myself with encouraging and supportive people. Why I think lots of times when we go through something really difficult, we isolate,
Hmm.
and that we don't want to bother anybody else with what's going on, or we feel like a sense of worthiness or self-esteem, plummets, and um, and we can't. There are just times we have to realize we can't do it alone. We aren't meant to do it alone. And that if somebody else, like my mom, had to say to me, now, would you talk to your best friend that way when I was really doing a lot of negative self-talk? Of course not, right? Or would it really bother you if a friend called and said, I need to talk because this is what's going on in my life? And of course not. Yet I would say, oh, I don't want to bother them. So yeah, I think we need to give ourselves the gift of getting the support, knowing that we would happily be support for someone else.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this really shifted for me as well, when our coach and mentor, Lisa Nichols, she said that actually, by not asking for help, or not asking for support, we are robbing the other person from giving their gifts to us as well, and understanding what their gifts are. If we hadn't asked for help, they wouldn't be able to practice their whatever skills that they've got. They wouldn't be able to be the compassionate person and be the understanding person that they genuinely are, because they've got no
Hmm.
outlet for it, right?
Right.
And so that really shifted my mindset about, um, you know, giving and receiving as well.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up too. Yes.
Yeah, so it's and we kind of like went in around points 1, 2, and 3, and the 3, 2, 1, and like it's all
Right.
merged in, because actually it isn't just do this one thing and then magically you're going to be healed and you're going to be the most resilient person ever. And even having gone through the things that you've been through, you know now you're going through it again, but um you have the tools now. Doing
Hmm.
those three things are the best way that you can actually get yourself back out of it, and you've built your wings so that you can trust yourself that you're going to be flying off even if the branch breaks, it doesn't matter. And I really want to thank you for sharing all three of those stories, and massive transitions through them, because actually they are an example of what we in coaching, we always talk about. It's not about never going back there again, because life always has a way of throwing you something new that you've never experienced before, and you're going to have to
Yeah.
navigate through that. But knowing some core tools that you've got, you know that you can just pick and choose at the right times for you.
That, yes, exactly. And even another tool is reminding yourself that you've gone through the fire before, right? Or you've come through difficult things before, and reminding yourself, okay, you know what? I did this before. I did something like this before. I do have the strength. I do have the tools. Yes, this is, you know, distressing, but I can trust my wings.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so, so much, Kelly, for your time today and all of your sharing. Sharing so honestly and vulnerably as well. It's something that these are really hard things to share, especially the one that you're literally going through right now. And I wish you all the best with actually sorting things out and being able to get back into your home again at some point really soon. But in the meantime, I hope everything does go well. And, just please do let us know if there's anything that we can help you with, of course. In the meantime, for everyone who's watching live or in the replays, thank you so much for listening to us today. We would love to hear from you to get an understanding of what your thoughts are of this episode. Have you had any similar experiences, or be in a situation? And if there's anything that you've learned from myself or Kelly today, we would love to hear your feedback. So
Mhm.
just drop them in the comments or reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing Kelly's info in all of the comments. So please do go and check out her profiles, and also learn from her. She's continuously posting on social media about her journey. So do catch up with her there. Thank you so much once again, Kelly, for being here today. It has been my honor. And thank you so much, everyone. We will see you again in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. It's my pleasure and honor too.